Soft music drifts across the stars, like a hymn echoing in the halls of eternity. The voice of the storyteller rises, calm and steady, carrying us toward Olympus. Above the mortal world, beyond clouds and thunder, there lies a throne of iron, not sharp, not cruel, but shining with an ancient promise of wisdom and duty. This throne belongs to Zeus, lord of the skies, bearer of storms, keeper of balance. It is not only a seat of power, but also a mirror of the heart that dares to rule. Long ago, the gods forged it from vows and trust, not from blood or broken steel. They placed it high on Olympus, where winds sing and eternity listens in silence. Each ruler who touches its cold surface feels not glory but a quiet, heavy weight. For the Iron Throne whispers of justice, of choices that shape the worlds below. And tonight, we begin the journey into its story, where thunder meets reflection, where Zeus himself must face not enemies, but the trials of wisdom within. So, listen closely, as the clouds part, as the stars bend low to hear. This is the tale of Zeus and the Iron Throne of Olympus, a throne of destiny. Long before thunder echoed, there was silence, deep and unbroken across the heavens above. The cosmos stretched wide, filled with stars, yet empty of order, waiting for a guiding hand. In that silence, the gods gathered, voices low, hearts heavy with the weight of creation. They dreamed not of weapons or walls, but of a seat to hold their hopes and fears. They spoke of unity, a bond stronger than storms, forged from trust, not iron alone. Thus, the vision of the Iron Throne of Olympus was born, a symbol of harmony. It would not cut flesh, nor crush stone, but bind gods and mortals in shared destiny. The gods traveled across the breadth of the universe, seeking fragments of promise. They gathered whispers from the winds, sparks from the stars, echoes from the seas. Each vow spoken, each truth offered, shaped the frame of the throne unseen. It was not hammered by fire, but by intention, a craft of spirit, not blade. Athena gave wisdom, her hand steady as she traced lines of reason on the seat. Apollo offered light, weaving clarity into its iron bones, so truth would shine. Poseidon gave depth, a tide of calm to steady storms that rulers must face. Even Hades, quiet in shadow, gave silence, so choices could be weighed with care. From mortal hearts came prayers, stitched into the throne as threads of humility. No single god claimed it, for all had touched its making, a shared responsibility. When the last vow was spoken, the throne stood, vast and solemn, a beacon in Olympus. Its iron gleamed not with fire, but with starlight, cold, yet filled with quiet warmth. The gods gazed upon it, awed, for it seemed alive, breathing with eternal watchfulness. Zeus, though young then, felt the pull of destiny when his eyes met its surface. The throne seemed to whisper, a voice soft as cloud, heavy as storm. It said, "This seat holds not power alone, but the weight of every voice." The others nodded, for they too felt its pulse, the rhythm of countless promises. It was clear, the throne was not built for triumph, but for balance and guardianship. From that day, Olympus was not just a home, but a kingdom bound by choice. The Iron Throne became the center, a reminder of vows not to be broken. When Zeus finally rose to claim it, he remembered its origin, not as conquest, but as a covenant, a thread woven by many, delicate and eternal. Each time he sat upon it, he felt the voices of gods and mortals alike. Some urged patience, some begged for justice, others whispered of mercy. The throne did not allow him to forget the cost of leadership or the gift of trust. It carried no crown, no chains, only the weight of balance across heaven and earth. Thus, the Iron Throne of Olympus was not feared, but respected, a quiet sentinel. Legends say its glow shifts with a ruler's heart, bright in kindness, dim in pride. Zeus would learn, in time, that strength alone could not command its light. The throne responded only to harmony, to a leader who served more than ruled. Its iron held the storms of Olympus, yet softened with the warmth of unity. And so, part one ends where it began, not in thunder, but in silence and vow. A silence that still lingers, as though the throne itself listens, waiting for the one who sits upon it to remember why it was ever made. The morning of Zeus's ascent came softly, with skies painted gold and winds calm in reverence. Olympus shone bright, its peaks touched by light, as if the heavens themselves waited in silence. The throne of iron stood ready, cold and timeless, whispering to all who dared to approach. Zeus, still young but steady, walked toward it, his footsteps echoing like drums of destiny. The gods gathered, eyes fixed upon him, each silent yet filled with unspoken expectation. Hera watched with calm dignity, her gaze sharp, measuring not pride but purpose in his stride. Athena leaned close to Apollo, speaking softly of wisdom tested by time, not by thunder. Poseidon's trident shimmered, his deep voice rumbling like the sea, a soundless prayer for balance. Even Hades emerged, shadows bending around him, his eyes reflecting stillness and judgment. Zeus reached the steps of the throne, each stone heavy with the memory of ancient vows. He paused, for the iron seemed alive, glowing faintly with the voices of gods and mortals. His hand trembled, not with fear, but with awe, as he touched the cold surface of destiny. The throne did not welcome him with warmth, but with weight, pressing gently on his spirit. It asked no questions aloud, yet his heart heard them clear as thunder in quiet skies. Will you lead for glory or for truth? Will you serve yourself or the harmony of all? Zeus closed his eyes, breathing deep, and the storm within him hushed into quiet restraint. He felt his power surge, yet the throne pulled it back, teaching balance before command. The gods watched, but none spoke, for this moment belonged to Zeus and the throne alone. A wind rose, soft and circling, as though Olympus itself recognized the gravity of choice. Zeus lowered himself upon the seat, and the iron groaned, not in protest, but in acceptance. For a heartbeat, silence reigned, deep and heavy, before the throne's whispers returned. They carried the voices of mortals, calling for justice, guidance, and mercy across time. They carried the voices of gods, urging patience, fairness, and remembrance of vows past. Zeus listened, his brow furrowed, as though the entire world had poured into his soul. Then his eyes opened, bright as lightning, yet softened by the wisdom of restraint. He spoke not words of command, but words of promise, calm as steady rain upon fields. I will guard, not rule. I will serve, not conquer. I will hold balance above all. The throne glowed faintly, its iron shifting from cold silver to a warmer, living light. The gods exhaled as one, a sigh of relief, for they knew Olympus had found its guardian. Hera's lips curved, not in triumph, but in quiet trust, for she saw his choice was true. Athena nodded, satisfied, her eyes shining with certainty in his measured spirit. Poseidon raised his trident high, a salute not of submission, but of respect. Hades closed his eyes, a shadowed smile faint, for he knew wisdom had been chosen. The throne held Zeus firm, wrapping him not in chains, but in threads of responsibility. He felt the vastness of Olympus flow through him, each star, each wave, each whisper. It was not a crown of gold placed upon him, but a mantle of shared burden and hope. Zeus realized then that the throne was not a prize to seize, but a bond to keep. Its iron was cold, because it bore the weight of countless voices across eternity. Yet within that coldness burned a flame, a fire lit not by strength but by service. As he sat taller, the skies above shifted, clouds parting to reveal endless blue. The heavens answered with calm, not thunder, blessing the moment with quiet clarity. Zeus had ascended, yet he did not stand above the gods. He stood among them, equal. The Iron Throne of Olympus had accepted him, but only as its servant, never its master. And so the story of Zeus's first day upon the throne was not of conquest, but of vow, a vow that would echo through eternity. as long as Olympus watched the skies. The throne had accepted Zeus, but Olympus itself was yet to give its voice, soft or strong. The air shimmered, and the gods began to gather closer, their presence heavy and divine. Each face carried stories, memories, and hopes that shaped the very skies around them. They had waited for this day, not to see a ruler crowned, but to witness a bond renewed. The throne hummed faintly, like distant thunder, inviting not silence, but conversation. One by one, the gods let their voices flow, a chorus of truth across the marble halls. Athena stepped forward first, her eyes bright with clarity, her tone sharp yet calm. Zeus, wisdom is the crown no iron can forge. Listen before you command, learn before you judge. Her words rang clear, and the throne pulsed, as though approving of her reminder. Apollo's golden lyre shimmered in the light, his voice smooth and radiant as dawn. Let music guide you, brother. Let light flow where shadow lingers. Harmony is the heart of order. The gods nodded, for they too felt the warmth of his words echo deep within. Hera rose, her robes flowing like clouds, her voice steady as the earth itself. Do not forget compassion. A throne without care is but cold iron, empty and hollow. Her gaze locked with Zeus's, and in that moment, trust deepened, unspoken yet strong. Poseidon raised his trident, the ocean glinting in his eyes, his tone a deep and steady tide. Storms will rise, brother, within and without. Steer with calm hands, lest waves consume Olympus. The throne shimmered faintly, echoing the rhythm of the sea, steady and eternal. From the shadows, Hades spoke softly, his voice low, carrying weight like earth below. Remember silence, Zeus. Power tempts, but silence teaches. Listen to what is not said. His words lingered, heavy and still, reminding all that wisdom hides in restraint. Artemis appeared, moonlight gliding around her, her words swift and clear as arrows. Protect the innocent, shield the fragile. Leadership is the hunt for justice, not the chase for pride. Her vow echoed like silver light, piercing the space with undeniable truth. Hermes laughed gently, yet his tone was serious, his staff glowing with gentle sparks. Speak clearly, Zeus. Words carry wings. They can heal or wound, faster than any thunderbolt. The throne pulsed again, its iron resonating with the truth of Hermes' counsel. Dionysus swirled his cup, his voice rich with mirth yet filled with quiet wisdom. Joy too is power. Do not rule with storms alone. Let celebration breathe life into Olympus. The gods chuckled softly, for even in jest, his words carried a gentle reminder. Hephaestus, steady and strong, placed his hand upon the throne's edge. Forge your rule with patience, as iron is forged with fire and time. Rush, and all will break. His words rang heavy, the weight of labor and craft shaping his counsel. One by one, voices rose, each god offering truth, not command, but shared trust. The hall filled with sound, not chaos, but harmony, woven like threads of eternal song. Zeus sat silent, listening deeply, his hand resting gently upon the throne's arm. Each word etched itself into him, not as burden, but as a map toward balance. The throne itself seemed to glow brighter, as if nourished by unity, not dominance. Zeus finally spoke, his voice deep, steady, carrying the weight of all he had heard. You remind me that the throne is not mine, but ours, a bond of many, not one. The gods bowed their heads slightly, not in obedience, but in shared recognition. Olympus grew quiet again, the voices settling like stars upon a calm night sky. The throne's iron gleamed, no longer cold, but warm, alive with voices joined in harmony. And so the voices of Olympus were heard, not as demands, but as promises renewed. Zeus sat taller, not as king, but as listener, guardian of voices both divine and mortal. The Iron Throne hummed, and Olympus breathed as one, bound together in eternal vow. The throne was his now. Yet with each sunrise, Zeus felt its iron pressed deeper upon his spirit. It was not pain, but a constant weight, like the steady pull of storms waiting to be born. He ruled the skies, yet the skies were restless, clouds circling, thunder humming in silence. The power within him surged wild, a storm unbound, eager to break free and claim the world. But the throne held firm, reminding him that storms were not for dominance, but for balance. Zeus sat in long hours of quiet, hands resting on the armrest, feeling the pulse of Olympus. It spoke in whispers, of mortals sowing crops, of rivers flowing, of hearts hoping. Their voices reached him, faint but constant, each prayer tugging at his sense of duty. One mortal prayed for rain, another for sun, a third for peace after seasons of hardship. Zeus listened, and the storm inside him pressed harder, demanding he answer all at once. He raised his hand, lightning flickering in his palm, but the throne cooled his fire. The iron did not forbid, but it reminded him, power without patience burns what it seeks to save. So he lowered his hand, the storm dimming, though his heart still ached with urgency. Athena visited, her eyes knowing, her voice like a lantern in his gathering shadows. Brother, wisdom is not silence, but timing. A storm too soon destroys what it means to heal. Her words anchored him, like a harbor stone against the tide of his own restlessness. Apollo came next, his lyre soft, his song bright, weaving calm through Zeus's heavy thoughts. Balance is music, brother. Each note must wait its turn, or harmony falls into chaos. Zeus nodded, though the storm still swirled, patient yet eager to test his restraint. In dreams, the throne tested him further, casting visions of fire and flood unchecked. He saw land scorched by his thunder, seas swallowed by rage, mortals trembling in fear. He woke with sweat upon his brow, his hand clenched, as if lightning had nearly escaped. The throne whispered then, soft but steady, "Strength is not control of others, but of self." Zeus breathed deeply, learning slowly that storms inside must be mastered before storms outside. Days passed, and the gods watched as Zeus sat longer, quieter, listening more than speaking. Hera once placed her hand upon his shoulder, steadying him with compassion, not command. Compassion tempers storms, Zeus. Remember that the throne holds not just skies, but hearts. Her words softened him, turning thunder into gentle rain that nourished more than it destroyed. One evening, as twilight bled into starlight, Zeus stood upon the highest peak of Olympus. Clouds gathered, restless, lightning dancing, testing his resolve with brilliance and roar. He raised both hands, thunder answering, but this time he smiled, calm within the storm. He did not release fury, nor did he suppress it. He guided it, shaped it into balance. Rain fell upon the fields below, steady and kind. Rivers filled, crops drank, mortals rejoiced. The storm within bowed to him, no longer wild, but a companion, patient and loyal. The throne warmed beneath him, its iron glowing faint, as though it too approved. Zeus understood then that leadership was not silence nor command, but measured action. He could unleash lightning, but he could also restrain it, choosing harmony over haste. This balance became his path, his storm no longer a threat, but a guardian of peace. The gods saw it, mortals felt it. Olympus breathed easier beneath his steady hand. The burden of storms was still heavy, but no longer lonely, for wisdom now walked beside him. And so, Part 4 of the tale reminds us, the mightiest storm is the one mastered within. The dawn broke over Olympus, and with it came whispers of change among the immortal halls. The Iron Throne had tested Zeus with storms, but new trials awaited him beyond thunder and rain. For now, the voices of mortals grew stronger, rising like prayers woven into the fabric of air. They did not speak of weather alone, but of justice, fairness, and the choices of rulers. Zeus sat upon the throne, his hand steady, but his heart stirred by the weight of their words. The gods gathered in the great hall, their eyes watching him with expectation and curiosity. Poseidon spoke first, voice deep as oceans, reminding him of tides that knew no master. "Brother, seas do not bow forever. Mortals seek freedom, not chains hidden in rain or Sunday." Hades followed, his tone calm, shadowed, but not cruel, carrying truths from beneath the earth. They fear power, Zeus. Even when you give gently, they wonder what storm may follow. These words echoed in the throne, and Zeus felt the iron chill, heavier than any lightning. The trial of storms had been about patience. This was a trial of trust and justice. Athena's voice rose, clear and bright, cutting through doubt like dawn cutting night. Justice is not command, Father of Skies. It is listening, weighing, and shaping with care. Her wisdom reached him, but with it came the challenge of choice, choices with no clear path. For mortals prayed for opposite gifts: rain and sun, peace and war, mercy and strength. To choose one was to deny another, and to deny was to plant seeds of discontent. Zeus leaned back, closing his eyes, hearing the chorus of prayers rise, collide, and clash. It was not noise, but a river of hopes, each drop shimmering with fragile humanity. The throne whispered, "Justice is not to please all, but to hold balance with fairness." He opened his eyes, steady now, and looked upon the council of gods surrounding him. Hermes, swift of tongue and wing, stepped forward, carrying laughter but also caution. "Mortals must believe in justice, Zeus. If your hand feels heavy, even kindness will seem cruel." Hera nodded in silence, her gaze firm, her presence grounding him in calm authority. She reminded him without words that justice was also compassion, the heart of rulership. That night, Zeus descended the clouds, walking unseen among mortals, cloaked in quiet light. He listened not as a god, but as a stranger, hearing disputes in markets and fields. One farmer claimed his neighbor stole water. Another sought peace between quarreling kin. Their voices were not thunderous, yet they carried more weight than storms in his chest. For here was justice in its truest form, not in heavens, but in choices of daily life. Zeus returned to Olympus, his heart fuller, his storm calmer, his duty clearer. The next day, seated upon the Iron Throne, he made a vow before gods and eternity. "I will not wield justice as a sword, nor as chains. I will wield it as balance, as truth." The hall grew still. The throne warmed beneath him, as if recognizing his growth. Mortals far below felt peace ripple, though they knew not why, their burdens easing slightly. The gods watched, and in their eyes shone quiet respect for the one who bore the weight. This was no trial of storm now, but a trial of fairness, of choices shaping destiny. Zeus had passed the first steps, though greater challenges still lingered beyond horizon. And so, Part 5 tells us, the throne of iron is not forged by thunder, but by justice. Justice not of perfection, but of striving, of listening, and of walking in balance. The days grew longer on Olympus, and with them came a new weight pressing upon the Iron Throne. Zeus had tempered storms and learned the burden of justice, but another test now unfolded. This trial was not of sky or law, but of voice, for even gods must learn the art of counsel. The council of Olympus gathered once more, their voices rising like waves in a restless sea. Each god carried desire, ambition, and vision, pulling in directions both bright and uncertain. Ares spoke first, fire in his tone, eager for strength and dominion across mortal lands. "Peace is fragile," he declared. "Mortals respect order when they fear the might of Olympus." Demeter shook her head, her voice calm as soil, patient as seeds waiting to bloom. "Fear does not sow, brother. Mortals need care, for hunger is the greatest enemy of peace." Artemis added her words, clear as silver moonlight, protective of wilderness and freedom. "Mortals are not cattle to be ruled, but lives that must breathe under sky and forest alike." The throne beneath Zeus cooled, warning him to listen, not to command, in this assembly. For this was not thunder's domain, but a weaving of voices into harmony or discord. Apollo strummed his lyre, soft notes floating through the air, reminding all of balance, strength, nurture, and freedom. None must be lost. A melody needs every string to hold. The gods paused, though Ares still bristled, his hand resting on his spear with impatience. Hestia, gentle flame of hearth, spoke last, her voice steady as eternal fire. "Family, peace, and home These mortals pray not for power, but for belonging. Zeus listened, his storm quiet, his heart heavy, the voices weaving into a tangled song. Each god was true in their way, each view carrying a piece of wisdom not to be ignored. Yet to follow one path fully was to forsake another, and the throne chilled in warning. The trial of counsel was clear: to unite without silencing, to guide without erasing. Zeus leaned forward, his voice calm, his tone carrying weight but not force. Each of you speaks truth, though truth wears many faces when seen from mortal ground. He turned to Ares. Strength must protect, not conquer. Fear cannot be the root of respect. To Demeter, nurture feeds hope, but crops need more than soil. They need safety to grow. To Artemis, freedom is breath, but breath needs order, so it does not fall into chaos. To Hestia, belonging is the heart of all prayers. The fire mortals gather around in night. The throne warmed faintly, approving his weaving of voices into one tapestry of meaning. But the gods still waited, testing not his words alone, but his ability to hold their unity. Zeus raised his hand, not with lightning, but with open palm, steady and sure. Olympus must rule not by command, but by counsel. Each voice is a star in our sky. He declared that no decree would pass without hearing, no choice made without balance. The gods murmured, some hesitant, others thoughtful, but none could deny the fairness. The throne glowed softly, its iron no longer cold, echoing approval of shared wisdom. Mortals below felt harmony ripple like winds carrying both rain and sun together. That night, Zeus dreamed of Olympus as a circle, not a tower. Voices joined in unity. He woke with clarity. Rulership was not a single will, but a chorus shaped with care. And so, Part 6 reminds us, even the mightiest throne is strongest when it listens. For wisdom grows not from command, but from counsel, and from unity born of many truths. The winds of Olympus shifted, carrying with them not storms nor quarrels, but the quiet of solitude. Zeus had faced storms, justice, and counsel, yet the throne still tested him in silence. For the mightiest rulers are not only challenged by voices, but by the absence of them. The Iron Throne cooled beneath him, reminding him that even gods must sit alone at times. Silence is heavy, more so than thunder, for it leaves no sound to hide a wavering heart. Days stretched with no counsel, no prayers, only the echo of his own thoughts. Zeus walked the marble halls, hearing footsteps too loud, shadows too long, emptiness too near. In stillness, doubts came. Did his choices truly serve mortals, or only soothe the gods? Did balance satisfy, or did it leave all longing for something never fully given? The throne whispered faintly, "A ruler who fears silence has not yet mastered himself." He closed his eyes, seeking peace within, but silence grew sharp, like iron biting his skin. He turned to stars, to mountains, to rivers below, yet answers eluded him in their quiet. Hera watched with patient eyes, speaking little, letting him wrestle with silence on his own. Athena advised, "Wisdom grows in stillness, father. Learn to sit with silence, not flee it." Yet even her words faded, leaving Zeus alone with thoughts too vast, too endless to tame. One night, he dreamt of an empty Olympus. No gods, no mortals, only the throne and him. The silence there was complete, pressing, suffocating, until he felt smaller than the sky. He awoke, shaken thunder at his fingertips, desperate to break the quiet with sound. But the throne cooled him, whispering, "Noise cannot banish silence. You must befriend it." So Zeus walked into the mountains, leaving Olympus behind. Cloaked not in lightning but calm, he sat upon a cliff. The world spread wide below, valleys quiet, stars steady above. The silence was still there, vast and heavy. But he no longer turned away from it. He breathed with it, sat within it, letting it stretch, letting it teach. Slowly, he began to hear what silence truly carried, the faint pulse of life itself. Not prayers, not demands, but the heartbeat of existence, steady and eternal. The rustle of unseen leaves, the sigh of rivers, the hum of stars, voices hidden in quiet. Zeus realized silence was not absence, but presence deeper than any sound. It held truths too soft for thunder, wisdom too patient for fire. He returned to Olympus with new calm, silence, no longer his enemy, but his ally. The gods noticed his stillness, not empty but centered, a strength drawn from quiet. When disputes arose, he did not rush to speak. He let silence shape the space. Mortals below felt peace ripple again, for their prayers met a god who listened more deeply. The throne warmed, its iron glowing faint, as though silence itself approved. Zeus had passed another trial, not by action, but by presence. For he had learned that rulership is not only storm or justice, not only counsel or law, it is also the strength to sit with silence, to listen, to breathe, to simply be. And so, part 7 of the tale reminds us, silence is not emptiness, but a teacher. The Iron Throne does not test with noise alone, but with stillness, to reveal the heart within. The moon rose silver over Olympus, casting quiet light upon the Iron Throne of Zeus. He had faced storms, justice, counsel, and silence. Yet the throne had another trial in store. This was not a test of storms or words, but of memory, of the weight of what had come before. For a ruler cannot move forward without facing shadows cast by the past. Zeus sat in stillness, the throne cooling beneath him, and visions stirred around his mind. He saw his youth, the cave where his mother Rhea hid him from Cronus's hunger. He saw the moment he freed his siblings, the battles that shook the heavens into order. He saw the old Titan prison, the chains of Tartarus echoing with eternal silence. The throne whispered, "You rule not alone, but upon the stones laid by history." Zeus's heart grew heavy, for the past was not only triumph, but also mistakes unspoken. He remembered tempests unleashed in anger, and promises delayed by pride. He remembered mortals trembling when thunder cracked without mercy. The visions pressed harder, not cruel, but unyielding, demanding he acknowledge them. Memory was not punishment, but truth that shaped his throne as much as iron. Athena appeared in vision, her hand gentle, her eyes unblinking. "Father, memory is not to bind you, but to teach. Do not turn away from what was." Apollo's song followed, reminding him that past notes still echo in present melodies. Hera's presence steadied him, her gaze reminding him of vows both broken and renewed. Zeus closed his eyes, letting the visions flow, not resisting, not excusing, but listening. He saw the joy of mortals when rains came gently, their dances beneath clear skies. He saw children laughing at lightning, marveling at its brilliance rather than fearing it. He saw his love for the world, vast as the sky, imperfect yet enduring. Tears fell, not of weakness, but of release, as memory softened into wisdom. The throne warmed beneath him, whispering, "The past is not chain but compass." Zeus breathed deeply, rising taller, the storm within calmer, his steps surer. When he looked upon Olympus again, he no longer saw only power, but legacy. He called the gods together, sharing not command, but memory, both light and shadow. "Brothers, sisters, we are not made of victory alone. Our past binds us, guides us, humbles us." The gods listened, some uneasy, but all moved by his willingness to show his own scars. For even immortals forget that wisdom grows not only from triumph, but from remembrance. The mortals below felt the change too, though they knew not why. Old songs were sung again in villages, tales of kindness and storms woven as one. Zeus watched, no longer burdened by memory, but guided by it. The throne glowed faint, its iron reflecting both shadow and light. This trial was not about ruling others, but about reconciling with himself. For a ruler who forgets the past will repeat its wounds, but one who remembers heals anew. That night, Zeus dreamed not of silence or doubt, but of pathways stretching far, built from memory. He walked them with steady steps, each stone firm, each turn lit by lessons learned. The dawn came, soft and golden, and with it a lighter heart, a clearer vision. And so, part 8 of the tale reminds us, memory is not a prison, but a teacher. The Iron Throne asks not perfection, but remembrance, so wisdom may flow through time. The dawn of Olympus stretched wide, yet the Iron Throne was not finished with its trials for Zeus. This time, it was not storms, counsel, silence, or memory, but something greater, legacy itself. For every ruler must face not only their reign, but the question of what endures beyond them. The throne glimmered faintly, its iron humming, as though it carried voices not yet born. Zeus felt their pull, futures reaching toward him, asking, "What world will you leave behind?" He walked through the halls of Olympus, the marble shining, yet shadows of tomorrow lingered. Would his thunder echo in fear or in reverence? Would mortals remember justice or storms? The throne whispered, "What is forged today is seed for tomorrow. Choose what you plant." Zeus gazed upon his children, gods of wisdom, love, war, and song, each carrying sparks of him. He saw Athena, bright as dawn, her wisdom shaping mortals with quiet strength. He saw Apollo, weaving light into prophecy, music, and truth. He saw Hermes, swift-footed, clever, binding worlds with wit and guidance. He saw even Ares, fierce yet necessary, embodying the struggles mortals must face. Each child carried part of him, yet also part of what Olympus might become. The trial was clear. Legacy is not held in thunder, but in what one leaves behind. Zeus descended to the mortal world, the earth alive with fields, rivers, and voices. He walked unseen among villages, watching fires lit, harvests gathered, prayers whispered. Some feared him, trembling at storms, while others trusted the rain that blessed their soil. He understood. Legacy was not written in heavens, but in how lives below were touched. Zeus returned to Olympus, calling the gods into council once more. He spoke not with thunder, but with calm, his voice steady as stone. Olympus is eternal, but mortals shape its reflection. We must guide with care, not dominion. The gods murmured, some resisting, others nodding, yet all listening with newfound respect. For Zeus spoke not as conqueror, but as guardian of what would outlast him. Hera's gaze softened, for she too saw that rulership was more than command, it was legacy. Athena rose, declaring that wisdom shared with mortals was greater than any spear of war. Apollo vowed to let his light fall not only on palaces, but on humble home. Even Ares, restless, bowed his head, knowing that war alone cannot right eternity. Together, they agreed, Olympus must be not only a throne above, but a beacon below. The throne glowed brighter, its iron threads pulsing as though acknowledging their unity. Zeus felt the weight lift, for legacy was not his burden alone, it was shared. He realized true rulership lay not in holding power tightly, but in passing it wisely. Mortals soon felt gentler rains, steadier seasons, guidance in dreams and signs. They built temples not from fear, but from gratitude, weaving songs of balance and hope. Zeus watched, heart calm, thunder quiet, knowing his name would endure not through fear, but through justice, through memory, through care carried forward in mortal hearts. The Iron Throne whispered once more, "A legacy is not what you keep, but what you give away." Zeus smiled, for he finally understood the throne did not bind, but prepared him. Prepared him to let go when the time came, to trust what he had built. And so part 9 of the tale reminds us, legacy is the bridge between now and forever. The Iron Throne tests not just the present, but the future, asking what remains when thunder fades. The skies above Olympus glowed with twilight, and the Iron Throne shimmered one last time for Zeus. He had faced storms, justice, counsel, silence, memory, and legacy. Yet the throne had one more truth. This was not about power, nor even about what remained, it was about letting go. For no throne, not even iron, belongs to one ruler forever. Zeus felt the iron warm beneath him, not as a test, but as a farewell. The whispers came softer now, not demanding, but guiding. like an old friend. "Great Zeus, king of Olympus, what will you do when the throne no longer needs you?" He closed his eyes, listening, and for the first time, no fear stirred in him. He knew the truth. Rulership is a passage, not a possession. The throne was never meant to bind him, but to prepare him to release it. He thought of his children, bright with promise, each carrying sparks of eternity. He thought of mortals, growing stronger, wiser, their songs no longer only of fear. He thought of Olympus itself, eternal yet alive, needing not one king but many voices. Zeus rose from the throne, the iron sighing as though it too felt release. The gods gathered, watching, unsure, for never before had the king stood apart from his seat. "My reign is not ended," Zeus said, "but the throne is not mine alone." He reached out, touching the iron with reverence, not claim. It is a burden, yes, but also a guide. And now, it will stand for all of us. Athena stepped forward, her eyes glowing, knowing her father's choice was wisdom itself. Hera, once rival in storms, now stood by him in calm, proud of his surrender. Apollo strummed a gentle chord, the song rising with peace instead of thunder. Even Ares bowed, for strength lies not in holding power, but in yielding it when time calls. Zeus declared the throne not a single seat, but a circle for Olympus, a place where gods might gather not only to rule, but to listen, to balance. The iron shifted, glowing brighter, reshaping subtly, as though agreeing with his decree. No longer a throne of one, but a symbol for all. The wind swept Olympus, not with storm, but with renewal. Mortals felt it too, though they knew not why. The skies calmer, the rains kinder. Songs were sung of Zeus the thunderer, but also of Zeus the giver, the listener, the guide. Legacy was secure, not by force, but by wisdom shared, by power released. The Iron Throne dimmed, silent at last, its purpose fulfilled. Zeus stood taller, freer, no longer bound by the weight of iron. He walked into the halls of Olympus, surrounded by gods who now shared in his burden. He no longer feared silence, memory, or tomorrow, for he had learned to let go. And so the tale ends not in thunder, but in quiet strength. The Iron Throne of Olympus was never about rule alone, but about growth, balance, and release. Zeus, King of Kings, found his greatest power, not in holding, but in sharing. And so, Part 10 closes the circle. Every throne is a teacher. Every ruler, a student. The Iron Throne whispers its last lesson. True power is not possession, but freedom.